Today, we're diving into the incredible wisdom of a true master, Charles de Beriot. We're going to tackle a question that I think every serious musician eventually asks themselves. You've mastered your instrument, you've got the technique down cold, but how do you become an artist? We're going to look at his advice on how to make that incredible leap. Right off the bat, Beriot hits us with this really humbling truth. He says the arts are boundless. This isn't some race with a finish line. It's a constant journey, always reaching for an ideal you can never quite grasp. And just accepting that the journey is endless, well, that's our starting point. So this is the big question, right? You've put in thousands of hours. Your left hand is a machine. Your bow arm is perfectly steady. Your intonation is spot on. But we all know that technical perfection is not the same thing as artistry. So how in the world do you cross that bridge? Well, Beriot gives us this really powerful metaphor to use as a map. He wants us to picture our whole artistic life, our entire journey, through this one single guiding image. So Beriot tells us to imagine our journey as this great tree. Just picture it in your mind, a massive tree stretching up and up into infinity. And at the very top, it's crowned with this incredible glory, which is, true artistic perfection. This isn't just some nice poetic idea for Beriot. This is a literal map of our potential. And here's how you read the map. That crown at the top, that's our goal, artistic glory. The branches spreading out, those are all the different nuances in playing, every style from fiery and passionate to delicate and fragile. But the trunk is the key. That's the central path. And Beriot gives a really stark warning here. If you just cling to one comfortable branch, you're heading for an artistic dead end. Okay, so this brings us to a really fundamental choice that every single artist has to make. It's all about recognizing your own natural habits, your comfort zone, and understanding the danger they can pose if you don't keep an eye on them. And let's be clear, Beriot says this is totally natural. We all have a default setting, right? A musical comfort zone. Maybe you're a powerhouse flyer who loves to dig in, or maybe your real strength is in that delicate, subtle stuff. The problem isn't having a tendency. The problem is when you become a prisoner to it. He kind of boils these tendencies down into two main personalities. On one side, you've got strength, what he calls energico. Think of a fiery bow, a rich, passionate vibrato, just playing with total resolve. And on the other side, you have grace, or dolce. A calm bow arm, beautiful delicacy, the innocence of a simple tune. So which one of those feels more like home to you? And this right here is the critical warning. If you only play with force because, hey, it's easy for you, or you only play with delicacy because that's your safe space, you're stuck. You've basically stopped climbing the tree and you're just sitting out on a single branch, going nowhere. So if getting stuck on a branch is a dead end, what's the alternative? Beriot points us right back to that central path, the trunk. Now, it's definitely the harder climb, for sure, but it's the only one that actually leads to the top. And right here, this is Beriot's definition of genius. It isn't about being the absolute best at playing with vigor or the best at playing with delicacy. No, it's about being equally perfect in both. It's having the ability to summon this thunderous, powerful chord one moment and then a heartbreakingly soft pianissimo the next. You see, this is a huge mindset shift. A true artist doesn't go and hide on a safe, familiar branch. They live right there in the center, in the trunk, and they draw energy from all the different nuances to power their climb upwards. Okay. This all sounds great in theory, right? But when you're in the practice room, how do you actually know if you're wandering too far down one of those branches? How do you stay on that central path? Well, you're gonna need a compass. And Beriot actually gives us one. It's this beautifully simple and maybe a little counterintuitive tool. Your compass. It's found in the way you listen to and interpret the praise you get from other people.
See, that compass is really self-knowledge. But as Beriot points out, knowing ourselves is probably the hardest thing to do. Our ego, our pride in what we already do well, can totally blind us to where we're out of balance.
Look, direct criticism can sting, right? It might even just make you shut down. But praise is different. Beriot says that praise contains a hidden message. It's a clue, and it points directly to the thing you're probably neglecting. So here's how it actually works. After a performance, if someone comes up and says, "Wow, your sound was so powerful, just so much energy," Beriot's advice is to hear what they didn't say. They didn't mention your grace, did they? That's your cue. And the other way around, if they praise your incredibly delicate phrasing, well, that's a sign that you need to go home and work on making that violin truly ring with some real force and power. So this creates this incredibly powerful loop for your practice. Step 1, you listen to the praise you get. Step 2, you hear the unspoken advice that's hiding inside it. Step 3, you get in the practice room and you deliberately work against your comfortable natural tendency. And the result? True artistic balance. So the idea is to stop treating praise like an ego boost. Instead, treat it like data. It's a tool to keep you from just doubling down on what you're already good at. It pushes you to become a complete, balanced, and whole artist. And with that, Beriot leaves us with one final piece of counsel. Sort of a charge that's been passed down through generations and generations of violinists. This is his hope. It's his hope for you, for me, for every single musician who picks up his method. He's not just teaching notes on a page, he is laying out the entire path to becoming an illustrious artist. And for him, his task is only complete when we succeed. And that, really, is the ultimate takeaway. This transition from technician to artist, it isn't automatic. It doesn't just happen because you practice more hours. It happens when you make a conscious, deliberate choice to seek balance over comfort, to climb the trunk instead of just resting on a branch. It all comes down to one thing: honest, real self-knowledge. So I'll just leave you with this question. Think about the last compliment you got on your playing. What was it for? And now, using Beriot's counsel, what does that praise really tell you that you need to work on tomorrow? The answer to that question? Well, that's your next step up the great tree of art.